For these are all our children. We will all profit by or pay for whatever they become. James Baldwin.
I was born in Bombay and the oldest of 5 children and grew up all over South and Southeast Asia. From a very, very young age, I remember being very upset seeing children working in rock quarries and begging on the streets and being beaten and working as domestics in people's houses and being treated worse than their pets. Sex tours that came through Sri Lanka. I was 10 years old when I saw that. It comes from a very deep personal place, wanting to do something to avenge the injustices that were done to a lot of children that I saw growing up. I think that our approach, looking at root causes of trafficking, is very important, and it's one that we really focus on. We're better armed now than we were 10 years ago to know what it is that we need to do to prevent human trafficking. This year we have a very exciting campaign. It's in coordination with the Population Community Development Association of Thailand, and former Senator Michai is the chairman of this organization. It's the largest organization in Thailand with over 33 years of experience.
Well, we have looked at poverty for a long, long time, and a lot of people, because of poverty, have lack of education, lack of opportunity, and they become ill, they get trafficked, you can name everything you wish, all the negative elements. But it all comes from being poor and being in poverty.
So here we are at the Pattaya Home for Street Children, and Kunja is probably one of the most fantastic people I know. He works here in Pattaya, right downtown, and this is a drop-in center for children who've been exploited and many of them abused by foreign pedophiles. He stands in between the pedophiles and these children. Take a little bit of a look around here. It's pretty small, and they're trying to raise funds, capital campaign to build an orphanage, because they can only house 30 children here at any one given time.
We have a big plan. We want an open center, big center, only for street children. Not in Pattaya. Maybe from Pattaya, maybe we go 30 minutes or 35 minutes. I mean, very long way. In Pattaya, really easy when children go to the bar, go to the beach, go to the, because many pedophiles.
And it's difficult to
yes,
come back,
I think
right?
yes.
A tremendous part of the rehabilitation effort to get them to stay within these walls and to understand the meaning of community, and they grow a garden together. They try to teach them things that can help them to understand how to live in a family situation, because most of them haven't. It's their first experience, being in a loving environment. And part of our mission is to support his work, to make sure that other people know about his work, that other people are drawn in to what he's trying to do here, so that we can help support this critical role that he plays.
Well, we have always believed that prevention is the only cure. If you're going in to knock down doors of brothels, that's only one, and they'll be back the next day. But you prevent people from going into it, then the job of trying to break down doors or free people from being trafficked is less. So a lot more attention has to be put into it. You have to have it as a value system in schools of boys and girls, that this is not something human beings ought to be involved in. So our approach is to work with kids, and the kids grow up and they work into what we call our youth governments in the village. And then they eventually, after turning 25, become the elected government of the day. This is what's been missing. They think there's a cure, because money is for the cure, not so much money for the prevention, just like HIV/AIDS. Prevention is what we have to do, and we have been doing it in every aspect. Prevention, prevention, prevention.
Our aim is to cut it off at the root. What is the root cause of trafficking? Most of the time it's economic disempowerment.
Now, if you study the people in poverty and find out what they do each day, you'll find that they're involved in business. They're trying to make a profit, be it growing vegetables or raising chickens, selling food, or picking up garbage and selling. They're engaged in business, just like Microsoft, trying to make a profit. But it doesn't happen because they lack two things. They lack business skills and they lack credit at a regular rate. So what we have to do with the poor is get them to have the opportunity to learn business skills and to be able to borrow from a microcredit fund that does not exploit. And what we try and do is match them up with somebody stronger. So we call it the positive partnership.
We're here visiting the Village Bank in Mei-Chan District. The funding that we've raised will go to allow people in this area to access funding from the Village Bank. And they'll team up with somebody in the village, one person who's has a good idea for business and another person who's at risk and who needs the moral and financial support. Typically people like to make bricks, they like to have a noodle shop. People in the community will vet those business ideas and help them come up with something that's sustainable. And it's a fantastic network, within the community that people can keep tabs on each other and help them make sure that they're successful. Their economic status hopefully will improve and they'll be less vulnerable to traffickers. For a loan, the only qualification or requirement for receiving a loan, because many of these villagers don't have anything in the form of collateral, is that their child stay in school. And so for them to know that they can come to the village bank and get a loan to do chicken raising or asparagus farming or have an internet cafe or laundry business or whatever, this is fantastic. And so we've allocated this entire year to galvanizing the public's attention and funding for this project, and we aim to be able to fund at least $100,000 worth of microcredit loans for people who are at risk of trafficking on the Thai-Burma border and also survivors of trafficking who've gotten out. We want to make sure that they stay out and that they are able to sustain themselves and their families. Every year since 2000, Prevent Human Trafficking Institute has been running a summer tour for people who want to learn about human trafficking. So far we've brought almost 100 students, academics, researchers, philanthropists, and people in the business community to learn for themselves firsthand.
I got a grant through Christina because of the PDA-PHI partnership that's going on with the trafficking. I wanted to come to the border and work, and they had just started the baseline work, and so it's been really good. I think understanding it just from the aspect of, the person who's wanting to move and wanting to migrate, and understanding their point of view, I think is beneficial.
When you talk about trafficking, I think it's easy for people to abstract it, or they think that, this is a situation that they can read about and get a really good sense of, but I think it's quite different when you're able to get out of the comfort zones and the bubble of the West and come over here and see for yourself what the circumstances are that people endure, what the situations are that propel trafficking. And so it's a pretty jam-packed trip. We travel up to the Burma border, we travel all throughout Bangkok, we travel to Cambodia, Vietnam, and it's definitely a crash course in this issue. We get to meet experts, government officials, U.S. Embassy officials, and most importantly, the survivors of trafficking and the champions, the local champions that support their work. The reason we exist is to help people come to terms with the real facts on trafficking so that they can have a real impact if that's what they choose to do.